Our next speaker up is Alice Palom, and I was connected with Alice. Again, a lot of these, the people that are in the books that we're doing are connections that I've received from other people, and Alice is one of them. I met her through, was it Lois, Alice? Through Lois Kofi, who's one of our speakers as well today. And I really loved Alice's story. She was telling me about how she had a stroke, and I just really, like, my heart went out to her, and the challenges that she's gone through, since having the stroke, but then how she's come out of it and doing what she's doing today. Her topic today is run the day or the day will run you. She's a business executive with 17 years experience as an entrepreneur, and she is a stroke thriver. So Alice, welcome to the stage today. Are you going to teach us how to run the day or the day will run us?
Absolutely. Because of course, that's exactly what will happen, right? Is that if you don't plan your day and run it, it's going to run itself for you. And that's not exactly what we want to do. So thank you so much, Linda. Yeah, it's been a blessing. I agree with what Sally was saying. I've been so enjoyed working with you and meeting you and working on this book and the summit and more books to come. And it's been a great opportunity. So thank you for your investment as well. So I'm going to do a combo of screen share and not. So I'm going to start with screen sharing. Just to start with a couple pieces here, right? So as Linda said, run the day or the day will run you. How many times? Hold on.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. It's worked. Okay, go ahead. You're it.
Thank you. Because you never know with technology, right? How many times have you gotten the end of your day going, wow, what happened? I got nothing done. Or I did all this other stuff I didn't intend to do. So I work with a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, people with lots of stuff to balance. And I always work with people on both sides of that equation, right? Not just what's going on with your business or your businesses, but what's going on with your life and other things you need to do, right? We can't just say, here's my day from a business perspective and think that that's going to be a great idea. You have life, you have kids, you have family, you have, as Sally just did a great job of talking about, exercise, making sure you're eating well, all those kinds of things need to be on your calendar. I know I started doing that, learning some things from Sally as well. And that is great because I don't forget to do it. So it's those things that you want to have on your calendar, the things you need to do, want to do, and have both of those represented, not just this strict business. Because then, as Sally has been sharing in a great way, we don't take care of ourselves. And that whole analogy with the, mask on first in the plane. I spent a lot of time taking care of my mom near the end of her life. And one thing that all my friends reminded me was, if I didn't take care of myself, I couldn't take care of her. So that's all those, important things. So continuing on, one thing I always work with people on is, as a starting point, is what is your most productive time of day? Because you want to be able to leverage that and also understand when you might need to do some things that aren't your most productive time of day, how to manage that as well. Because nothing is perfect, right? So one, you've probably all heard about this, ultradian rhythms, the circadian rhythms, but in the 50s, believe it or not, this has been around since the 50s, some research was done and it looked at what's your active moments, what are your not active moments. Often people talk about this with sleep. You more often hear about it as, are you in a deep sleep? You're in a light sleep, so you didn't have a good night's sleep. But this also applies to your day. Similar rhythms that affect your energy level, how alert you are, how focused are you, how stressed are you? And this also, of course, varies by person. It's not just a, hey, here's the chart, and let's just go, go, go. But everybody is different. Everybody looks at things differently, has different ingrained opportunities, right? So the first question is, of course, is what are your rhythms? And I always start people off with this worksheet, which I'll stick in the chat shortly when I can type. But this is a great self-starting opportunity, which is a look at your day. And it does take a little focus, a little dedication to track your day every day for about a week, because different days of the week matter, right? But you're going to look at what time is it? And yes, you can go, I slept from 3 to 4 in the morning or whatever is appropriate. Don't have to wake up to say you were asleep. But you look at what were you doing and what was your focus, what was your energy, and what was your enthusiasm? And then make notes as needed. When I have gone through this exercise with my clients, with classes, with other individuals, this always brings up great light bulbs. People are like, oh, I never thought this was true. Oh, I never had this idea that this was my issue. Well, no wonder I never get things done in the afternoon. Or in my case, no wonder I don't get things done in the morning because I'm not a morning person. So you start by looking at that information, tracking it, and being able to look at those trends. So once you have identified what is that most productive time of day, and I don't know if anybody wants to throw out in the chat, if they know what theirs is. Like I said, I know mine is I'm a night owl. I actually buckle down to my best work from like 7 to midnight. So I've had to come up with some coping mechanisms to actually talk to people other than 7 to midnight. So a place to start once you know that productive time of day is to look at what needs your highest energy, your highest focus, and try to put those activities on that time of day. And I only use the word try because of that fact that there might not be the time of day you should be doing that activity, but start with the easy matches, right? I talk to clients at X time of day. My most productive time of day is this, they match. Fantastic. I, again, being a night owl, I have a lot of clients I talk to at night, my time, because they're on the West Coast, because that's a great match, right? Then look at what you need to do based on the time of day it's required to be done. And that could be a meeting. I have a meeting on Tuesday mornings that I still get up for and productive at because I plan around the fact that's not my best time of day, but that's when that meeting is. So I need to do it at that time of day. So that's the second pass through your calendar, is to kind of look at what needs to happen at the time of day that it needs to happen. Not your best time of day, but when it needs to happen. Keeping in mind that, of course, the best place to start is to have a plan for your day, right? Look at that. I didn't have my phone on silence, which I thought I did. Sorry. That always happens in these live events, right? So you look at having a plan for your day, because that really is the best thing to do, right? If you don't have the plan, as we said, and here's how you start building the plan. So you look at that productive time of day. What can you do that best matches? And then what do you do when it doesn't match? So there's a couple mechanisms to start with. So as you knew what your best time of day is, in that time frame, you should have a review of your day and a plan for the next day. So again, my example, I'm a night owl. I do my review and plan for the day at night. The clients I have that are morning people, that wouldn't work well for them. So that's what they do first thing in the morning. But you should have it on your calendar somewhere, is to actually look at what your day holds and then look at the next day. And as you can, look at the whole week. Then that gives you the opportunity to make adjustments as needed, right? One of the other keys I always share is to not delete things off your calendar unless you're deleting them forever. So don't schedule overthink things that you need to do, just move them around. And I know we have a couple speakers talking during the summit that talk about priorities and to-do lists, and that's the input to that, right? If it was on your calendar, there's a reason you put it there. So if you just keep scheduling over it and don't address it, it doesn't get done, right? And then it will come back to be an issue for you later. So again, the key is to move it unless you're going to delete it forever. And I know that we've had people talking about delegating and or just dumping, if that's something that you shouldn't do. The next piece of that equation is to look at some other opportunities on that day, like time blocking. Sally had a great example of time blocking, time for taking care of yourself. That exercise every day. My blocks at night because that helps me sleep better. Morning people put that time block in the morning because that's when they are starting their day before everybody else, right? So block out those times where you need to be paying attention to things. I have clients that often block out time to reply to clients. This is the best time of day to make sure I do that. And then the other thing that does is that keeps that from distracting you throughout your day, right? Because a lot of us get driven by that urgency or perceived urgency, right? I got a ding, I got a notification, I got a buzzer, I need to address it right now. But a great way to plan your day around those things is to actually have a time block on your calendar to address that. So a couple tips and tricks and tools to use for a couple different challenges you might face during your day. People sometimes have an opportunity that if they have to sit down and work for a couple hours, they get distracted. They can't stay focused, right? It's like, I can't concentrate on this thing for 2 hours. Break it into chunks. Set a timer. Set a timer like, I can get a half hour of this done. Set that timer at the end of the half hour. If you can go another half hour, fantastic. If you can't go another half hour, set that timer again for a 10-minute break. And that could be what I call an energy break, which is I have to get up, walk around the block, go up and down the stairs, depending on where you are, but move. Or a focus break. It could be I focus on this thing for so long and so deeply, I need to just go focus on something else. And that could be a 10 minutes of listen to your favorite music for 10 minutes. Read a chapter in a book. The timer can be one of your best friends in that it kind of lets you off the hook. In that you know you're going to get back to something because something's going to remind you. It's not like, oh my gosh, I got into this book and then I read for 3 hours and never got into what I needed to do. So that timer can be one of your best friends to help you plan those blocks and track those times a day. As you look at your most productive time of day and you'll also see as you look at that data, what was working as far as how long a block can you focus. And that will also help you break that into different chunks then. You can say, I focus well for an hour. So if I have a 3-hour project to work on, I'm going to break it into hour slots and have a nice 15-minute break in between. And that will help you be very focused and productive. So any questions so far? Fantastic. So you might ask, what about this productive time of day and does it actually mean anything? Because sometimes I'll get that question from people as well. One, we do have that study, but two, as you track that data, you'll start to see those pieces of the puzzle come together. So let's talk about planning again for a minute. The whole idea, of course, is that if you don't have a plan for your day, it's going to just run roughshod all over the place, right? So a great place to start is what are your most productive times and what are your most important things? And that, again, marries you back to those prioritization talks that you're going to hear or have heard or will hear on the summit, and really starting those big chunks that matter. Some other frequently asked questions I get are, how do I deal with those interruptions that come in during the day? If I have a business or a family that I will get interrupted, I can't just time block that. I will deal with that at 3 to 4 in the afternoon. How do I deal with that? Couple key things. One, make a note of where you're at with the project you're working on right now. I talk about a parking lot. Have something next to your computer or next to where you work and be able to make a note of where you're at the project before you go address that issue. Because then when you come back, you'll have a better idea of where you are and not have to start all over. The parking lot can also be used for things that come up as an alert or a notification or a distraction that came up. They don't have to deal with, but you don't want to forget. Again, put on the parking lot, and then you can go back and visit that later. And that, of course, can be a great thing to have on your schedule, is to review your parking lot every day. So again, me being a night owl, I have a quick little checklist. I make sure I've done things to close out the day. That's checking the parking lot. That's dealing with any messages I needed to deal with. I don't know about you guys, but I work with enough different groups of people. I've got WhatsApp, I've got Slack, I've got Messenger, you've got texting. It's amazing how many different places we need to kind of track messages from people. So that's a great thing to do at the end of the day, is have an idea of what you want to make sure you've done and have that on your schedule. Like I said, I put mine at the end of the day and I have a look right on my calendar. It says these 3 things are the things you need to get done before you can say that you've ended the day. Any questions? Oh, do I see a question? Is it possible to have?
So the question is it possible to have multiple most productive times of the day?
Yes, it is. Because you might, yes, the answer is yes. And you'll see when you look at your data that you might be productive at noon. And then again, later, if you've kind of had that break or that re-energization kind of opportunity, or you can build them in. I have a client that's a mortgage broker who is a morning person. He was working out in the morning and then always was dragging in the afternoon. So we created a second most productive time of day for him because we changed his workout time to early afternoon. And he came back from the gym all jazzed up, energized, and had a great afternoon. So you can also create them as you need as well. Great question.
I like that you said you can create them. Yeah. So what's interesting for me, and maybe that's what I did, is I created it. I realized I've been a night owl forever, right? In school, in junior high school, I didn't even start my homework till 11 p.m. That was kind of my thing. And my parents never got mad at me. So that's how I did it. And as life went on, I would find myself staying up till 2, 3 in the morning. And I would be chatting with people online who were up at 2 or 3 in the morning and doing the same thing. I was a night owl. And one day, about 2 years ago, I made a decision, as Sally mentioned, I made a decision that I was going to become an early bird. And I did. The next day, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. I wanted to join that 4:30 club I hear so much about, And it's interesting because I changed. So my question is related to that. It pronounce it circadian or circadian. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but that rhythm that we have, that I was able to shift. Was it only because of mindset, or because my body, I feel energized no matter what time I wake up? So I'm just kind of curious as to, was that just because I made a mindset shift to decide to do something different?
I think it's 2 things. I think one, it starts with that mindset shift because you had to be devoted to that change, right? It was important to you to make the change. You were all bought in. As that happens and you are getting up at that time of day consistently, then your body rhythm starts to kind of change over to that, because that is what it starts to get used to. So you're kind of, to your point, creating a new rhythm because you have the strong mindset you started with.
So it's interesting, right? Because we can change that. And that's we have this rhythm, but we can choose to change it. And I don't go to bed after 11 p.m. anymore. I used to stay up till, sometimes I'd still be up at 5 a.m. And now it's completely different because I do get up so early. 11 o'clock is the latest I will go to sleep. So that is fascinating because we can change that. We're not holden to what we are doing. And you did mention you have that chart, because somebody, was it called your chart that you had, productive time of day tracking? Yeah. You want to share that with us? Because that I'm excited to do that, just to see, because I never thought about what really is my most productive time. Because I put in the chat that it's 7 to 9 p.m. But is it really? I don't know, because I never tracked. So it could be completely different. Yeah. So I love that. Let's see. Key points. She's going to be using them. The chart looks interesting. Yeah. So some of the things I wrote down, Alice, that know your best. You said, what are your most productive times? And then the most important things. Right. Yep. And then I'm going to be talking about that, do it, delegate it, or dump it, which
Yep.
really will help honing in on those most important things. And so how do you decide which are the most important things?
That is an interesting question, Linda, because I think there's a couple of ways, because I am definitely a process-driven kind of person. So I will make a list in those couple different categories, which is business and personal, right? And I look at urgency, income generating, and or important from important to your heart, important to your being kind of thing. And then rank that and create my to-do list based on those three things.
You make it sound so simple.
Well, you get into a lot of that heart wrenching as you look at what is more important, this or that, because we only have so many hours in the day, right? And you want to make sure that those things are important to you, your life, and your income, right? Get done. And sometimes we can be swayed by things we enjoy doing, we get fulfillment from, but then forget that, oh, I forgot about that income generating thing. I mean, that's always been, that's one thing that's one reason I have a list. Because I have so much joy helping people and doing things. I'm like, oh, that's right. I need to do something to generate some money as well. So I have to make sure it's on my list every day to have those income generating activities as well.
I love that. And that's part of the process of, that I will be bringing up the do it, delegate it, or dump it task technique that I go through. Incorporates the entrepreneur into it. So that's really what it's all about, is like, how can you make money doing what you're doing? Because a lot of us, we have all these things we want to do and they're not generating any money. So let's talk about that. Like, how can you make money in business? So we're going to bring Sally up here. Sally, go ahead, and you have a question.
Yeah, well, one of the things, I've always been a list maker. I'm one of the ones who sits there and makes out the list. So, what are your strategies for doing that? Is there a simple way to because I make a list and then I forget. I have my list. I have my grocery list, and then I have things that I need to do around the house, and then I can't find the list, and it's I'm pretty pretty crazy with that kind of stuff. But do you have any tips for that? And then someone else asked if you could maybe share a little bit of your story. That we'd love to hear from the book.
Oh, sure. So one, I actually discovered this thing a couple of years ago called a Rocketbook, and it's actually not an electronic thing. It is I see somebody nodding. It is a write on and erase kind of thing. It's like a mobile whiteboard in a way. It's really cool technology, so it's not technology, right? It's a really cool tool. So it does two things for me. One, it's reusable. So I can use it, erase it. But the other cool thing is that it is tied to an app. So you basically use the app on your phone to take a picture, and it will put it in whatever cloud destination you want it. I put my stuff in OneDrive, but you can put it in Google Drive. You can send it as an email. And then you have everything in one place that doesn't take up too much room. But I think the key is you have to decide a place and keep using that place. Otherwise, you've got things in different places.
Otherwise, you lost your keys. You're looking for in the wrong place for your
my keys
Sally.
in the dark.
That's right. And then you actually can check stuff off. I love checklists because it does two things, right? It helps you track your progress, and you get to do those little wins. Like, I had 10 things on the list and they're all 10 checked off. How fantastic is that? Right? And then my story.
Yeah, share some of your story.
And then I have one parting slide to share as well. But so once upon a time, I woke up with a pounding headache and double vision. And the double vision just didn't go away. I called one of my best friends, and he said, I'm going to pick you up. We're going to go to the doctor. So we went to the clinic, who sent me to the hospital, and they think that I had a minor stroke overnight. However, what happened, because once I got to the hospital, I lost 10 days. What happened, I had a major stroke after I got to the hospital. I spent 10 days in intensive care, have no recollection of it, which was really freaky. I mean, when I first realized that, so I was talking to my sister-in-law who said, oh no, it was 10 days. I was like, wow, which is just, if you lose 10 days of your life, you're like, what happened, right? But I came to the conclusion that I didn't need to know what happened during those 10 days. Was there anything material that happened to me sitting in an intensive care room that is going to affect my life that I need to understand what it was, right? So I was determined. So my prognosis was not good in the beginning. They weren't sure how much of anything I'd get back. Upon realizing what was kind of going on, my biggest fear was I wouldn't be able to think again. Because thinking is what I do for a business, right? And plus thinking is kind of important to your life in general. But that was my biggest fear, was that I would not be able to think. Because at the time I was kind of becoming conscious of where I was and what was going on. I knew I wasn't thinking clearly. I wasn't tracking things. You weren't remembering things. What happened yesterday versus what happened today. Just really freaky, to tell you the truth, when that first happened. But I was determined that I would make the best of whatever this was going to turn into. Was very fortunate for a couple different things. One was that I had a fantastic family, because this journey was ICU and then regular hospital room and then nursing home. So at the age of 48, being in a nursing home is really fun and exciting as well. Because the nursing home was to get all the therapy done, occupational therapy, physical therapy. And then when that process had progressed to a certain point, they're like, well, we're done with this and you need to go. And I would lived alone out in the country, which I love, and could not go home alone. So I had the great opportunity that my brother and his family said, of course you're going to come here. And I spent 9 months at their house working on refining the rest of all those things, learning how to do some things again, dealing with the double vision, because they wanted to let that run its course as long as it could naturally before they did anything artificial about it. So that's interesting as well, is to be running around and not being able to really see very well either, because you spend a lot of time with your eyes closed, so you're not getting a headache, right? At the nursing home, I would listen to Netflix of things that I knew well enough I didn't have to see it. So that would keep track of that. But very, very fortunate and lucky to have the support around me and the dedication and the drive to follow through and do all of those things. Lots of exercises, not just physical exercises, but word challenges, writing lots of lowercase p's and the lowercase q's and be able to tell the difference in all of that. So very blessed to have had that support that I had from not only my family, but friends, colleagues, members of other organizations I was with that did that great blend together. Because I had people driving me around because I couldn't drive with double vision that bad, right? Just all sorts of people that contributed to helping me with that. So let me share a quick last slide. And actually one more thing, because Linda, people had told me forever I should write that story, and I just didn't want to. It was actually after talking to Linda about it that I actually went ahead and did that chapter. And it's been great. Again, as Sally had shared, meeting lots of great people, meeting people. I now, people introduce me to friends of theirs who've had strokes because they want them to be able to talk to somebody who's been through it. I love helping people in that way as well. Just lots of return from that effort. So thanks again, Linda. And Lois, who I know is coming up later today, who made that introduction as well. So I just wanted to, so I will still get that in the chat. It's kind of hard to multitask. It's harder than I thought it was going to be to do that at the same time. But just wanted to also share, this is on the free gift page because it's got my link. So best thing to do is, start with the first step, right? You can't do all of the things we've talked about and that we're going to talk about in this whole summit all at once, but start with one thing, make that commitment to start taking control of your calendar and your time, and then move forward. Because of course, if you don't have a plan for your life, there's going to be lots of people that will help you with that. So out on my website, ampbusinesscoaching.com, is where how you can connect with me. You can submit questions here. You can also go down to the spot that says complimentary sign up. If you go that'll send you right to my calendar link. And my gift is an hour consultation. So we can go through this topic, other topics that you might want to talk about with your business. We can go through that worksheet after you've done it. But love talking to people and just getting started with them and sharing some tips that might help you with that complimentary session.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I'm glad you just kept moving forward. Because some people give up, right? But you didn't. And I want you to just share briefly that is, I can't remember if it was your grandson or granddaughter that they got to teach you how to read.
Linda, I'm not old enough to have grandchildren. I'm just teasing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm teasing. I have to realize.
Well, actually, wait, hold on. I know a lady who was a grandmother at age 32.
I'm just teasing.
She had her kid at 16, and her kid had her kid at 16. So just go on.
I am just teasing. Yeah. So since I was living with my brother and his family, and my niece and nephew were there, and when my niece Elizabeth, of course, was very young and learning to read, I would read to her all the time. It's one of our great hobbies. Now, she was 10 when I had my stroke, and she'd want to read, but I had to tell her I can't read, Elizabeth. So she said, I'll read, Aunt Alice. And so we'd sit and read books, and she would read to me, and we'd work through that.
I love that, how she helped you, on your journey of healing. So you guys, it's just great, amazing information here. We got, write down your plan and then review it for the next day. So you're more likely to achieve it. Doing the time blocking, setting a timer, taking just a 10-minute break, whether it's to, do some squats. My husband's always like, did you do your 4-minute workout right now? So it's doing your 4-minute workout. There is actually a video called the 4-minute workout. Go Google it on YouTube. And so just taking time for you, and you run the day, or the day will run you. Thanks so much, Alice, for being part of everything we're working on, the Fearless Entrepreneurs, and being part of the summit. Really, truly appreciate you. And everybody, she's going to put her contact information as well as that chart so that we can track ourselves. Thanks, Alice.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.